It's not one of the main senses that we focus on. So thus it can be something that we can kind of, I think we kind of forget about it. And like from a sort of perspective of saying, how can we live with more wellness and how can we optimize our human experience? I think it's something that we haven't really typically included in the conversation very much.
Our ancestors would totally treat things with smells and essential oils and all the kind of the forgotten wisdom of herbs and spices that now
Yeah.
we perhaps don't think about.
The first kind of historical record that we have of this sort of distillation of scents for the purpose of aromatherapy would go back to Egypt, and they that kind of started back then, but throughout history you can look at all there's quite a few different regions and different people groups that were using essential oils or plant extracts for the purpose of healing, for the purpose of triggering emotional states, and then just enjoyment in general, right?
Yeah.
I guess for me, I love forests and I love just being able to go out in the forest and it just brings me a lot of joy. And it's like those natural terpenes that you're getting when you're in a forest and you're smelling all the different plants and everything like that. That's not an experience that you can necessarily have in your urban life on the subway or something.
No.
But with essential oils and with something like fume, that actually starts to begin to be a journey that you can go on. And it's just so, so cool. And I think in our modern urban settings where most of us live, we're missing out a lot on those benefits where that used to be kind of just integrated into our lives in a much more holistic way. And now because of how everything's so regimented and kind of modern, we kind of miss out on that.
Is there much science around smells and essential oils in the area of healing, energy, wellness, sleep? I don't know about kind of scientific studies, but I'd be fascinated to know if there are any.
Yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of research. So the research kind of would sort of branch into two different categories for two different sort of benefit sort of sections that it's kind of easier to think about it in regards to its physiological benefits and then its psychological benefits. And I guess just touching on the psychological ones first, that ability of scent to be able to trigger emotions has been something that has been studied, right? For example, I think lemon oil is one of the ones that's been sort of proven to lighten your mood and just kind of in general just promotes better mood. And lavender, for example, has also been shown in studies that people subjectively report that they are more calm and more relaxed when they're smelling lavender, right? And there's the studies go on in this regard, but it's very, very interesting how it seems like you were saying earlier, there's these sort of primal sort of systems that are triggered by these scents that then bring us into those different states. And then more on the physiological side, there would be also sort of the way that essential oils and those plant extracts would actually be interacting with our overall physiology, not just our brain, not just our sensory, but how do they interact with our blood flow? How do they interact with different molecules in our body? And with that, there's been some research that's shown that peppermint, for example, can be very good for actually increasing oxygenation in your breathing. It can be great for just pretty much, it's like as a vasodilator that it'll just bring more blood flow to different areas. There's been a little bit of research out there with headaches and peppermint. And so anyways, peppermint's obviously just an amazing one, but there's a lot of research into those different oils. And because like literally, like because there's so many plants in the world, the amount of different essential oils that you can get and the effects of them, it ends up being quite a big list and quite a big
Yeah.
undertaking to actually take that on. And thankfully, there's been some work done, but I'm really excited to see more and more of that done in the world because I think we're going to keep on discovering how these natural compounds can provide us with a lot of benefits without the negative effects of some of the things that we get with some of the bigger pharmaceutical type approaches.